Hello and welcome to the second round of the German Touring Car Masters. Yes, we're in Estoril in Portugal. The opening round, of course, in Hockenheim, but a challenging track indeed. This circuit some 30 kilometres from the capital city of Lisbon. And Estoril also a very popular holiday destination for many folk from Europe. But the racetrack, challenging, lots of different corners, and also a track with a great history. Just some of the scenes here in the Estoril area. And the town boasts of the largest casino in Europe. There it is in the main square. And talking of squares, there's a brand new one at Estoril, a new square commemorating the life of the great late Ayrton Senna. Amongst the drivers racing, of course, Scotland's Peter DUMBRECK, who welcomes us here.
Hi, I'm Peter DUMBRECK. Welcome to Estoril in Portugal.
Thanks, Peter, but it's actually Christian Albers of Holland who's going to give us a tour of this circuit. He has been testing here as the ITC some years ago, 1995 and 1996. These cars did race here, but of course the rules very different now, the new DTM.
So Leute, welkom in
Hello everyone, welcome to Estoril. This is the straight past the start-finish line. We go about 265 kilometres. Then this very difficult right-hander, it drops away here and I'm going down and then under the bridge. Very little grip here, we tend to understeer. And now a very technical part of the track. This right-hander is now chasing another car, trying to catch up with him. This left-hander is very tight indeed, and then we've got a longer straight. Fast flick to the right. And now up to 270 kilometers an hour right here. Maybe some overtake, a bit of a lock-up as we start to challenge. And then down into this right-hander. Very slow this one, trying to get out, trying to get grip. And chasing Marcus Winkelhock here, and he's just slowing me up a bit. And he locks up again, take quite a bit of curb here, but you can't do that if it's wet. Now we're coming up now, climbing back up again. Still Marcus Winkelhock getting in our way, again those curves, you have to watch those, and then the final long right-hander, which is going to bring us back onto the main straight, and all the time we're closing on Marcus Winkelhock. We'll get him just before the pits, and that's a lap around Estoril with me, Christian Albers. So some exciting action there from onboard Christian Albers in the Mercedes-Benz. On then to the Super Pole, the 10 fastest qualifiers going in reverse order. And this is TIMO SCHEIDER in the Opel Vectra on his attempt. And SCHEIDER on a very good lap indeed. He was only 9th in qualifying. He looks as if he's going to improve on that. And alongside me, Andrew Marriott here in the commentary position, David Allison. David, a good run from SCHEIDER.
That's right, making his way up towards the end of the lap then. He was 9th in qualifying. That means he's the second man out onto the circuit. It's going to be a good lap for SCHEIDER. This, the Opel Vectra, powering its way up across the line. Let's see where he slots in. The target time of Christian Abt, and he goes quickest. A very good run from TIMO SCHEIDER then. Fastest so far.
Wasn't in the beginning so nice for us that weekend. We had some problems with the car, and we can go a bit further. And from the qualifying to the Super Pole lap, we improved the car a bit as well. So that was a surprise for me that we can do such a big step for the qualifying for the Super Pole. But I'm really happy for sure. And for tomorrow, the target is definitely to step up on the podium.
Now here is a man to watch, Gary Paffett. Sensational victory, his first victory in the DTM at Hockenheim. How will he get on here? He's been good in qualifying, but the Audis have been sensational here. So what can Paffett do for the three-pointed star? Checking the split time there, and Paffett looking very good indeed, David.
Very nearly half a second up then on TIMO SCHEIDER's target time. Well, we knew Gary Paffett was a bit of a star in single-seater racing, came through Formula Vauxhall Junior, then into Formula 3, won the scholarship class in the UK, won the German F3 Championship, and in a year-old car was very impressive indeed at Donington last year. This is Gary Paffett running wide all over the curb at the last corner, accelerating now up towards the line. The time to beat is in the 1:34s, and Gary Paffett goes quickest. A great lap back by Gary Paffett to now go to the top of the times.
Yeah, very happy. I mean, we've made a lot of changes to the car over the weekend and it seems to be very good now. I made a couple of small mistakes, so I could have been a bit quicker maybe, but no, I'm really happy with second on the grid. I didn't, really expect it here after yesterday, but we did, the team did great things with the car and it was good. I pushed pretty hard though, so we have to see how he's in the race, but I'm quite confident.
But this is the final run in this Super Pole competition. Matthias Ekstrom could snatch it from Gary Paffett at the first intermediate. Let's see where he is. And he is behind Paffett at the first intermediate, but what will happen with the rest of the lap? Matthias Ekstrom, the Audi A4, the new A4 for this 2004 season, is looking very quick here in Estoril. And here he comes towards the line, and he stops a watch at 1:34.039. He takes the pole.
Yeah, I mean, the whole day today was very good. It started off in the morning, and then in qualifying was also very good. And now in the Super Pool, the first sector I was a bit too conservative just to make no mistakes. And then when I felt the car was good, I pushed everything I could in the second, the third sector. And today it was good for pole position with not a perfect lap, but sometimes it's like that.
So there is your top 10 starting positions. Ekstrom just edging out Gary Paffett, and a good third from TIMO SCHEIDER. So 3 different makes in the top 3 positions. One of those makes, of course, is Audi. It's an official team this year, and the 4 rings are behind the A4. As a road car, they've sold almost 1 million of these cars now. They come in various different varieties, with different engine sizes and both petrol and diesel engines. But what about this racing version of the A4 being developed for the DTM this year? Of course, it does have a tubular chassis, and Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, the head of Audi Sports, is going to give us a tour around the car. Yes, hello, he says. May I introduce you to the A4 in the DTM version? This is our car, which is derived from the street version, and it's one of our main models in the Audi range. So what do the street and race cars have in common? Well, they share the same silhouette, the same shape. Only around the wheel arches are we allowed to make changes to the shape in order to cover our big race tyres. Also able to make some aerodynamic adjustments. In fact, you can see the various ventilation holes, and these help to cool the brakes and other items under the bodywork. One big difference to the street car, and you can see that, is the exhaust pipe structure, and that comes out of the sides of the car in the middle of the bodywork. And of course we have the V8 engine, so we have exhaust pipes coming out on both sides of the car. Just looking at the back now, well, it doesn't look that much difference, but we have of course got that great big wing. The driver also sits very far back in our racing Audi A4. In fact, we put the driver further back to change the centre of gravity more than our 2 rivals. Also, some words about the engine. In DTM, we have to run with a 4-litre displacement and 8 cylinders. This is obligatory. The engine was actually developed for the app team, for the TTs, from a couple of years ago, but for this year we've increased the performance to about 470 brake horsepower. It is a pure racing engine, and again it's mounted as low as possible down in the chassis to help us with the distribution of the weight around the car. Cars certainly look very effective on the track. We've had A4s racing before, of course, in four-wheel drive form in the Super Touring Cup in Germany, in the UK, and various other places very successfully. This is a very different sort of car. So space frame and two-wheel drive, of course. Matthias Ekstrom saying one thing very good about this car is the aerodynamics. It turns in very well. We've got lots of grip, and it's particularly good in the slow turns. And also on the straights, we seem to have quite a lot of speed. So I'm very happy with the new A4. It's quite a bit different to the TT I raced last year, but I think it's a potential winner. Audi, of course, sending 6 of these A4s for the season. 4 of them are operated by the Audi sports team Apt Sportsline, to give them their full name, and they're the Yost team running 2 cars backed by Infineon. All the 6 cars are identical when they start, but of course the drivers tend to alter the setups of the car. Some different colours, the Red Bull cars, and then of course the bright yellow cars you also see. Well, heading then for race day in Portugal, the drivers' presentations, and should be a very interesting race, David, particularly with the many times champion Bernd Schneider starting quite well down the grid in 7th place.
And with him, 2 other ex-Formula 1 drivers, because lining up 8th is Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and only 9th, Jean Alesi, who of course led the opening round of the championship at Hockenheim. So the Audi drivers there waving to the fans. Tom Christensen, new to the DTM this year. We've seen him race in the British Touring Car Championship before, and Tom Christensen acquitted himself well in the opening round. And Frank Biela and Emanuele Pirro, both of them returning to DTM this year.
Yes, and all 3 of them just coming from the previous weekend in Le Mans, where they were getting ready, also driving for Audi, of course, for the Le Mans 24 hours. And Audi certainly looking good in that race, but let's concentrate on this one. The grid girls all smiles here, and nice to see that it's sunny this weekend in Estoril. Of course, much of Europe has a lot of rain. Here is the 4.1.83 kilometre track, 9 right bends, 4 to the left, and a previous home, of course, of the Portuguese Grand Prix. And many famous names have won here in the past. Here is our lineup then. Ekstrom and Paffett, SCHEIDER and TOMCZYK going very well, and then Christensen and Albers, Bernd Schneider and Heinz-Harald Frentzen back then on the 4th row of the grid.
Row 5, Jean Alesi lines up on the inside with the Mercedes, and with him there is Christian Abt. Row 6, Peter DUMBRECK, who went well in round 1, sharing the row with his Opel teammate Manuel Reuter. Then Marcel FÄSSLER and Laurent Aiello, only 14th quickest, with Frank Biela and Emanuele Pirro together again. They share row 8.
And then, David, the last 5 all in the old 2-door cars. Yanis and Bleekemolen, Muka and Melander, and at the back, Marcus Winkelhock. Well, ready for the start now. Engines revving, the lights are red. They'll go out just like in Formula 1. It is green, green, green. Go, go, go. And David, a great start.
Down to the first corner then, it's Matthias Ekstrom who takes the lead. Gary Paffett right up behind him. Third is TIMO, SCHNEIDER and Tom Christensen trying to go around the outside. He outbrakes for third. He's up into second, or is he? He's on the outside line, almost running out of road there. Christensen on the grass, lots of dirt being kicked up, and Tom Christensen drops down the order as Ekstrom leads Paffett then, making their way through for the first time. TIMO SCHNEIDER is third, and Tom Christensen trying to fight back there. Ahead of him is Christian Albers. 6th is SCHNEIDER, 7th is Frentzen, 8th is TOMCZYK, 9th is Alesi, 10th is Christian Abt. It's Matthias Ekstrom in the lead then, and already he's trying to inch away from Gary Paffett. It's Audi ahead of Mercedes, and then in third it's Opel.
Yeah, what a fantastic job Audi have done with this A4, and is already in front of Mercedes-Benz, and we haven't seen that for a long time. But Tom Christensen, absolutely sensational start. Remember, David, they've both got to make 2 pit stops in this race. The first one cannot come until lap 6.
So the Audi up front at the moment, Matthias Ekstrom trying to get away from Gary Paffett, and Tom Christensen making amends after trying to go right round the outside of people at turn 1, running out of road, and Christensen now in 5th position, although those ahead are just escaping ever so slightly. His next target is Albers, behind him is Bernd Schneider as the cars wriggle their way through that tight uphill chicane here. Up front though, Matthias Ekstrom with the Red Bull backed Audi, second in the black Mercedes. Gary Paffett, the winner of round 1, and then TIMO SCHNEIDER in third as they head up towards the end of the lap. 4th is Albers, and there 5th is Tom Christensen. end of the lap, over the line. Matthias Ekström trying to build up the advantage here, and Gary Paffett doing his best to go after him, but the gap is almost a second at the end of lap 1, 9/10 between them, and then a full second between Paffett and TIMO SCHEIDER in third. Christian Alber's fourth, and it's the young guns, Andrew, in the top 4 at the moment.
Yes, it certainly is. Well, Tom Christensen might have won 5 Le Mans, but he's in 5th place. And then the rest of the field, Pirot, Dumbreck, Reuter. Peter Dumbreck must be disappointed with that. He's normally the fastest of the Opel drivers, but having a little problem with grip round this very tricky Estoril track. Jean Alesi also battling for 8th position. Here is a replay of the start. It's pretty clean.
Just watch Tom Christensen as they head down to the first corner. Christensen in the yellow Audi from the outside of the grid. He makes a decent enough start on that 1x1 staggered grid. Slots in behind Scheider, heading down towards the first corner. Everybody hugging the inside line. And then Christensen's yellow Audi A4 makes its bid round the outside. Outbreaks Scheider for third, tries to go the long way round Paffett for second, and then runs out of road. And that put Christensen on the dirt and pushed him down to 5th position. Ekström then leading Paffett down to turn 1. There's Christensen on the outside. The majority of the field hugging that inside line. There's Peter Dumbreck looking for a way to gain places with the Valvoline-backed Vectra. And as the cars accelerate their way out of turn 1, no doubt about the leader. For Audi, it's Matthias Ekström.
Yeah, Ekström in the blue car, which of course is sponsored by Red Bull, and being chased by the Mercedes-Benz here. And just check out the positions after 2 laps. Ekström leads, and it's almost a second over Paffett. Scheider going well for Opel is third, then it's Albers, then it's Christensen, then Bernd Schneider, then TOMCZYK having a good run, Frentzen, Alesi, and Abt up in the top 10 as well.
After that, it's Pirot 11th, Dumbreck 12th, FÄSSLER is 13th, Reuter 14th, and a disappointing 15th is Laurent Aiello, who of course has won the German Touring Car Championship, the French, the British. He's another very successful touring car racer, but at the moment in DTM 2004 he's struggling. Gary Paffett, though, had managed to claw back a 1/10 of a second on the race leader Matthias Ekström at the end of that previous lap. It's not a massive gain, but it's a step in the right direction for the young Brit. Good scrap going on here between Frentzen and Alesi for 8th and 9th places. And Jean Alesi looking for a way past Frentzen. He has a go on the inside, diving into the corner, but Frentzen keeps his nose in front. They almost lean on each other. Frentzen runs a little bit wide. Jean Alesi urges the Mercedes up on the inside, clips the curb, glances, I think, off the back of Frentzen's car there, so he's got to slot in behind. But Jean Alesi is trying again, and this is his view, right up behind Frentzen now. Powering their way out of the corner, swing right. All over the curve goes Frentzen, getting the line right for the next left-handed corner, and he knows that Jean Alesi is right behind him. Through that tight, narrow chicane they go, and Jean Alesi now is close enough to have a go, if only he can find the room. The problem, of course, is with these cars with wings on, he's still going to come from a fair way back to outbrake your rival. Now, has Jean Alesi got enough grunt in a straight line? Frentzen's car right on the limit through that final corner on the lap, and now, Andrew, they're heading up across the start and finish line, and Gary Paffett has taken another 10th out of Ekström's lead here.
Yeah, Gary Paffett really on a roll after that victory at Hockenheim, and he is on a real mission here, and pulling away a little bit. A second now from the Opel of TIMO SCHEIDER. Albers is 4th, Christensen still 5th, and there you see some of the big names from Le Mans in the positions right down. And this here is a slow-mo between Frentzen and Alesi, just a little bit of contact, I think. There it was, the little nudge. The red stern car of Heinz Harald Frentzen, all the Opels being sponsored by various different magazines, David, one of them even called Woman.
Bernd Schneider there has gained a place. He's up into the top 6 now. The reigning champion Bernd Schneider then getting the Mercedes into the top 6. Here's a replay of earlier dramas down at turn 1. Let's try and see what this is all about, because there is contact there. That is Pirot, I think, just clipping the back of Christian Abt's car, and Peter Dumbreck looking for a way past them as well. Up front, Gary Paffett now, though, is right on the tail of Matthias Ekström. They're getting away from TIMO SCHEIDER, but the top 2 running together as they make their way around the Estoril lap. Bit of a twitch, though, there from Gary Paffett's Mercedes, and that's all it takes to lose him a couple of lengths to the young Swede ahead of him. So Ekström leads Paffett, leads Scheider. Up over the line they come. The gap now between the top 2 is down again to half a second. Gary Paffett closing all the time on the race leader Matthias Ekström. Down they come into turn 1. Now that Schneider is into the top 6, his next target is Tom Christensen, Pirot, and that, I think, Andrew, is too early.
That's definitely too early. The first pit stop must be on lap 6 or later. and problems, I would say, there. Maybe he didn't understand his radio message. Here he is coming out. He's going to be penalised for that. And the Italian, well, seems to have got it all wrong.
But the bad thing was that we had a misunderstanding with the pits. It happens even at Team Just, believe it or not. So basically they called me in one lap too early, or they didn't want to call me in, but I thought they called me in. So I was in the pits, and as you know, you cannot stop before lap 6. This was lap 5, so I had to drive through, and I lost a lot.
So a drive-through penalty after that mistake, and meanwhile the battle continues between Ekstrom and Paffett. And meanwhile more battles. A lazy collided there with Frentzen. Frentzen is off in the gravel, and the man from Mönchengladbach's not going to be very happy with that.
You can't do that in Formula 1, but Jean Alesi welcoming Frentzen in his own unique way to DTM, and you can see the gravel now being spat out of the side of Frentzen's car. He's back on the circuit. Here's the replay. Jean Alesi dives up the inside. Frentzen tries to take the line for the corner. Alesi's alongside, but going deep into the corner. They bounce off one another. Jean Alesi gains 8th place, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen goes through the gravel, gets the car back onto the circuit. But I suspect now his first pit stop is going to be brought forward because of that, as in now comes the Audi, and that's Ekstrom coming in, and behind him is SCHNEIDER.
And Christensen behind him, and then Bernd Schneider, Abt, Dumbreck, Frentzen, Wieler, they're all coming into the pits. They have to put one churn of fuel in. It's a regulatory turn of fuel, and they can do whatever they want with the tyres. There's just the fronts going on there on Schneider's BMW. And we're not used to seeing Bernd Schneider that far back, to be honest.
It's not been a happy start to the race, and the order now, with some people having pitted, is that Paffett leads, second is Albers, third is Tomczyk, Alesi's up to 4th, FÄSSLER is 5th, 6th is Aiello, 7th is Reuter, 8th is Mucker, 9th is Yanis, and the best of the pit stoppers is Matthias Ekstrom. He's rejoined in 10th place, but the next question is, after his first pit stop, where will Gary Paffett slot in? Because of course it was a battle initially between Ekstrom ahead of Paffett. We need to see where Gary will slot in after his stop. SCHNEIDER has rejoined in 12th, Christensen 14th, and then Bernd Schneider in 17th position.
Yes, indeed. Well, we'll find out in just a lap time, because I think Gary Paffett will be heading for the pits fairly soon. The black Mercedes with the green mirrors. Albers also going very well, the man who won 4 of these races last year, David, and was only just pipped to the title by his senior teammate, Schneider. But Albers, a very fast young Dutchman, rather like Gary Paffett, who goes into the pits now, come up through German Formula 3. Let's watch this Paffett pit stop. It is absolutely vital. The first of 2 teams are waiting at the ready. Heinz Werner Alfrecht's team. Albers also in behind him. Tomczyk in, FÄSSLER and Reuter all into the pits. The boys go to work. Rear tyres going on. He had some fronts as well. And where will he come out? Just look at this.
Gary Paffett is still ahead, but I think possibly Ekstrom has managed to get ahead of the pair of them. It's going to be very close because Ekstrom comes through turn 1. Gary Paffett's getting up to speed. They're almost together as they come towards us. I think Gary Paffett possibly has just been able to keep the place. Ekstrom looks up the inside. Gary Paffett tries to defend. Ekstrom squeezes through. This is crucial, and the Audi almost leaning on the Mercedes. Paffett pushed wide. There's a bit of debris on the circuit. There may have been a touch between them. Ekstrom makes the manoeuvre stick. He goes ahead of Gary Paffett now. Gary Paffett fighting as best he could on his outlap. Of course, cold tyres. Ekstrom's tyres up to temperature, but the Audi goes ahead of the Mercedes. Matthias Ekstrom then, in real terms, takes over the lead of the race once again.
Yeah, David, it's always been very exciting coming that pit lane because it's a much shorter way round that long right-hander. Until he actually regains the track, you couldn't tell what happened. But of course, there's a back marker in the way, making it all the more confusing. But this is a tremendous battle here. Gary Paffett having a very big charge against Ekstrom, the man who is also outstanding at rallying, had a great result in the World Rally Championship event in Sweden, and some more nudging going on.
Mercedes and Opel getting it together there. I think that was TIMO SCHEIDER trying to make ground. Great battles though going on right the way through the field here and accelerating out of the chicane. One of the Audis there trying to squeeze through and succeeding in so doing. And I think possibly is Abt recovering after, no, Christensen in fact it is, gaining a place. So race leaders at the moment, Matthias Ekstrom trying to build up the advantage once again. Very, very wide they come over the start and finish line. Ekstrom has got Paffett right up behind him. Down they come then towards us with, in third place, Albers. That's the top three. Ekstrom, then Paffett, then Christian Albers third, and almost touching the back of Paffett's car as Albers swings to the outside. Paffett locks up. Ekstrom tries to defend. Albers has got past Paffett. He's going to get the lead. Is he right the way around the outside? Yes, he is. A fantastic bit of driving. Albers leads now.
Best move of 2004 in any motor racing. That absolutely sensational. I thought he was going to lose it. It was sideways, there was sparks going off the car, and somehow he held it all together and he managed to get past both of them. He is a brave boy, is Christian Albers from Eindhoven.
Well, Jean Alesi leads in the moment because the Mercedes hasn't yet pitted, so ignore all of that. Jean Alesi is the best placed man on the track, but of course as soon as he makes his pit stop he'll tumble down the order. What you've just seen is the fight for the lead, and this is how it happened. Now watch Albers, he leaves it so late to come out from behind Paffett's car, almost loses it, sparks from underneath. That was a big old moment, but he recovers from that well. Look at Paffett locking up there, realising he can't defend on that line. He almost hits the back of Ekstrom, and Albers comes round the outside of Paffett, round the outside of the Audi, and that was one heck of a move. Look at that though, a big, big wobble. He did well to hold that, Andrew.
Yeah, he was almost totally out of control there, and he had a great bundle of opposite lock. There he goes round the outside. There is Gary Paffett locking up the flames, absolutely licking out of the side exhaust. Gary had to take to the dirt there, and that will hurt his tyres a bit. So sensational action.
The first run was very good, and then after the first pit stop, I came out with Matthias, and I was in front of him. And in the the third corner, he got on the inside and pushed me onto the grass on the outside. And then later on, one lap later, then the front tyre started to pick up a bit of a puncture, and it felt a little bit low. And then when I braked at the end of the straight, the tyre just basically exploded, and definitely left the left front tyre. So.
Yeah, so problems for Gary Paffett. Any chance of another podium finish already over. Now the order is Alesi, who still hasn't pitted, of course. Then Albers, Ekstrom, then SCHEIDER, Christensen, TOMCZYK, Schneider, Mailander, who hasn't pitted, and then Pirot.
So Christian Albers then after that great move leading. There is Gary Paffett in the pits, that deflated tyre being changed. So his second stop now, you can see a little bit of damage on the front of the car as well there. Gary Paffett rejoins. Well, he has once again proved his pace. He did that early on, just as he did by winning the opening round of DTM at Hockenheim. This is not going to be another dream result for Gary Paffett. He gets back onto the circuit, but now it's very much up to Christian Albers to uphold Mercedes' honour. And what do we got here? More dramas. This looks like Bernd Schneider trying to gain a place. Going through on the inside there, just moving ahead of another of the Mercedes, of Bernd Mailander.
Yeah, you can see the two different shapes there, Dave, the CLK and the C. And finally, Jean Alesi comes into the pits. Jean did a big promotion for the DTM around Lisbon a few weeks earlier, and very excited about this race. Jean Alesi still has all that enthusiasm. Here is the pit stop, the clock ticking away, and stops the clock at 4.9. Very clean stop from Jean Alesi. So we're heading into a period between the two pit stops here where you really have to get your head down. It's a very important time. Hopefully you've got a good set of tyres under you. Albers, Ekstrom, SCHEIDER really is impressing. Then Christensen, then TOMCZYK, and TOMCZYK having one of his best runs. The young German who's had so much bad luck in this series seems to be coming good for 2004. And you see Mailander is 7th because in the old car he hasn't made a stop yet.
And it puts the pace of the older car into perspective, doesn't it? He was starting as the penultimate man on the grid, and even though he hasn't pitted, he still can't get into the lead. The best he can do with other people making pit stops ahead of him is to get up into 6th, now 7th after Schneider went past him. So Bernd Mailander struggling with the year-old car. Race leader though, Christian Albers still dominating up front, and as Andrew has said, there is another round of pit stops still to come, and that could once again upset the order a little bit. There is Jean Alesi making his way then through in this 8th place and looking to try and gain a little bit more ground if he can. Emanuele Pirot, though, there wants to find a way past Bernd Mailander before too long. And Emanuele Pirot with the Audi not quite close enough to challenge the Mercedes. Is he going to try and get past or wait for Mailander to make his pit stop? In a sense, Pirot being held up a little bit here. For as long as he can't get past Mailander, he really does need Mailander to come into the pit lane and get out of his way. And Jean Alesi is reeling them in. There goes Pirot up the inside. Is that going to work for him? No, it's not. So still, he can't find a way through past the Mercedes. And of course, what's catching them? Another Mercedes, Jean Alesi. And this is his view.
Yeah, we ride with Jean Alesi here. Mailander and Pirot, neither of them made a pit stop, David, and they're actually battling there But disappointing ride for Emanuele Pirro here, as we have got Audis right at the front, and Jean Alesi has made his pit, so he wants to get by. And well, magnificent stuff here, and this Estoril track, it was always a great circuit for Formula One. It's excellent for DTM. And of course, for the next round, David, they'll be off to another circuit outside Germany for the Adria track in Italy, and that also promotes some great racing too. But Jean Alesi, here's his view. There, those two dive into the pits.
So that now gives Jean Alesi a clear road, and we're also going to see a battle now, not just between the drivers, but between the pit crews, and Emanuele Pirro even in the pit lane, looking as though he's being held up by Mailänder. He now darts off into his pit. Remember, Pirro had that mistaken pit stop early on when he came in too soon. Now, can they, on the pit stop, get the Audi out ahead of the Mercedes? The Mercedes is ready to go. It drops down, and there goes Pirro past. So on the pit stops, Emanuele Pirro has moved ahead of Bernd Mailänder now.
But exactly as you said, David, that false stop early on, so Emanuele Pirro dropped down the order, so he won't go home very happy today. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still about this battle here. Christian Albers, the man who was so sensational last year, proving he's still got the speed. The red and white car, of course, is the best of the Opels. There you see the lap times dropping down into the mid-35s. Albers leading Ekstrom. Now they're lapping in 1:36s, taking a lot of curb there, that uphill section. So it's a shame that Paffett isn't in the scrum here, but the top three still covered by just a couple of seconds. And Albers, that hugely brave move, taking him into the lead. I'm not sure what Ekstrom thought about that. There is Norbert Haug, been the boss now of Mercedes Racing for about 14 years, the former journalist. Slow-mo then of Albers. Just see how the car works over the curbs, powering his way out in this Mercedes-Benz. Every car here with a V8 horsepower, of course. Well, he's done a little bit of rallying in his time, and he seems to know how to drive these cars as Norbert Haug, and now we see how you really can drive them. Nice onboard shots here, looking at the steering wheel. Albers it is. Look at that gap. Back to SCHNEIDER now. It's 2.6 seconds. Christensen and TOMCZYK. So in the top five, we have three Audis. They've done a very good job with these A4s. And look at his eyes there as he's on big lock.
It may have a Mercedes badge on the front, but there the similarity ends between that and a road car. So different inside. Heading up towards us then is Christian Albers in the lead. Still Matthias Ekstrom going after him. Last time he lost a 10th in terms of their best laps. Albers is lapping quicker than Ekstrom. Matthias Ekstrom doing his level best to get onto terms with the Mercedes. And what is good for the championship is that you have the three different manufacturers represented in the top three places. TIMO SCHNEIDER unable to live with the top two, it seems, at the moment. What he really needs is for Ekstrom to close on the leader Albers, then start scrapping amongst themselves, hold each other up, and then he can catch back up to them. But at the moment, it's not happening. The other gap to monitor, of course, is between third and fourth. Third is SCHNEIDER, you're looking at him now, and there behind is Tom Christensen in the yellow Audi A4. Now, can terrific Tom do anything about TIMO SCHNEIDER ahead of him? There's still a fair amount of empty track between the two, but Christensen is as ever pressing on. But TIMO SCHNEIDER, who came so close to winning at Zandvoort last year, doing another good job here.
Walter Steichek there, the boss of Opel, won the first DTM series 20 years ago, driving for BMW. But let's check out the positions after 15 laps. Albers leads, it's under a second from Ekstrom. Then it's SCHNEIDER, Christensen, TOMCZYK, and SCHNEIDER. Not much change there, but still all running close. Then it's the hard-charging Jean Alesi after that late pit stop. Then it's Marcel FÄSSLER. Then it's Laurent Aiello. And completing the top 10, another former DTM champion, Manuel Reuter, who won it for Opel and is their oldest standing driver.
And Manuel Reuter needs some good results this year. Of course, Alain Menu, who drove for Opel last year, wasn't retained in terms of his services for this season. Lots of flame out of the side of Schneider's Mercedes there. But Manuel Reuter may have been a loyal Opel driver for many years, but if he doesn't start delivering, he's going to be another one in trouble, I think, because the young guard is very much taking over in DTM. Here is part of that young guard. It's Gary Paffett after that second stop when he had to change the punctured tyre. Gary Paffett now in 20th place. Well, his lap times are good, but of course he's lost so much ground early on. He's not going to be able to repeat that great result at Hockenheim in round one, but he's still trying very hard nonetheless. Albers is leading Ekstrom, and these two approaching, I would imagine, the time for their second pit stop here.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're in the window now for that. The gap is now, for the first time in the race, over a second, and into the pits then comes the Audi and Ekstrom, the Swede, and also the third place driver, SCHNEIDER, is in. Wave down, the zigzag into the pits, the team go to work. Front tyres, are they putting rears? No rears on there. They put the mandatory fuel churn in of some 20 litres, and out they go again. Abt, I think, also making a pit stop there. Albers, I suspect, will be in the next lap, and then we'll have the battle as they go round that long right-hander. But there is Albers. Christensen, TOMCZYK. You see the little numeral to the right, indicating they only have made one pit stop. There's also indication on the car, which is placed by the pit crew to show how many stops they've made as well. Can't see it clearly in these pictures. A crowd of some 20,000 turning up here as Abt exits the pits. And 20,000 is a very big crowd for Portugal. Traditionally a difficult circuit to get people to attend races. This track, which has been here in Portugal as their main circuit for some 25 years or so. So what's going to happen? We're going to need a very fast in-lap from Christian Albers, who currently leads. We're on board with him. He's really got to push into the pit lane to try and make up a little bit more time. If he doesn't, of course, he could lose that lead, which he so bravely won in that sensational double overtaking manoeuvre. Peels off into the pits. He'll lock it right up as he hits the speed limit line. There it is, that white line there. Down to, I think it is 70 kilometers an hour at Estoril. And he comes in with other cars behind him, and let's watch this pit stop. David.
The team goes to work, keep one eye on the pits, and then also look towards the track, because Matthias Ekstrom is on his way. This could see the lead change. Let's see, because Ekstrom is on the pit straight. Albers making his way back onto the circuit. Remember, he's got the shorter run through the corner. We're on board with Albers now. Look to the left. If you see the blue Audi, that's going to be the car of Ekstrom. Albers is going to rejoin just ahead of him. I think there is the Mercedes, and Matthias Ekstrom right up behind. Albers sits in the middle of the road trying to defend. Ekstrom looks for a way around on the outside, can't do it. Tucks to the inside, touches the curb, almost gets the run on the Mercedes coming up the hill, still can't do it. Look at the way that Albers is defending there, using all of the road. Ekstrom squeezes up on the inside, leans on the Mercedes. Can he wriggle his way through? Albers will have the inside line for the next corner. They're still side by side, and Albers just getting his nose in front, and he forces Ekstrom onto the grass. Then they touch. Ekstrom keeps his foot in. He's on the grass again. He switches sides. And through all of this, Christian Albers is just hanging onto the place, but for how much longer? Ekstrom with the better momentum then on his warmer tyres, looking for a way through. But Christian Albers, I think, now has just secured the place, and he had to work very hard for that, Andrew.
Yeah, and don't forget TIMO shut. Here is a problem just coming out of the pits, and a fuel can being dragged along there by Stefan Muka. So problems for them at the back of the field. Here is that side-by-side, bits of bodywork flying off. This is getting desperate. But, well, at the end of it all, the Mercedes-Benz is still in front of the Audi. And just look at TIMO SCHNEIDER. He had a great view of that. And he is still in third place. Well, that's not counting the pit stops that haven't been made yet, but that's how it's going to pan out.
Bernd Schneider in. TIMO SCHNEIDER, I imagine, was waiting for it to end in tears ahead of him. He came a bit close. Bernd Schneider, a very subdued race here in Estoril. It's a long time since we've said that Schneider had a subdued race, but the vastly successful German driver back into the race now, coming down the pit lane. And we're now on lap 20 with Jean Alesi leading. He's yet to make a second stop. Second is Laurent Aiello. He's yet to make a second stop. So the real race leader is Christian Albers, then Matthias Ekstrom, then TIMO SCHNEIDER, and Martin TOMCZYK doing a very good job ahead of Tom Christensen now on that second round of pit stops. TOMCZYK, who last year was a bit of a magnet, he'd either have his own accidents or be involved in somebody else's. Well, he kept out of trouble at Hockenheim. He's doing a very good job here. In real terms, he's fourth and ahead of Tom Christensen, and that's quite an impressive scalp to claim, getting ahead of the 5 times Le Mans winner.
Yeah, it certainly is. Tom having to change his brain a bit for this sort of racing. I think, you know, when you race like 24 hours or more, even in the long ALMS races, you have to drive much more conservatively. And conservative is not the word for the DTM, I can tell you, David. But what a tremendous clash it was at the front. Yet still, the young Dutchman leads Christian Albers. Looks as if he might be heading Formula One's way at one stage with the Arrows team before it collapsed. Man also had a season 4,000 something there in the track. Maybe a little bit of carbon fibers come off the car.
Albers also has been linked with Minardi. He was one of the drivers a couple of years ago at Donington that was there for the two-seater day doing passenger rides, and Christian Albers in Formula One certainly is well worth considering, because you have seen in DTM how talented he is. And the Mercedes in the lead as now into the pit lane. Yellow with Vectra to play. Yellow, who was the champion a couple of years ago, not having a very happy season, switching from Audi to Opel this year. But the results as yet not coming in this new Vectra. Down the pit lane he goes. It's still Jean Alesi leading on the track, yet to make his second stop. So Albers, Ekstrom and Schneider in real terms is the top three. Another of the Audis there enjoying its pit stop. That's Frank Bieler's car. Frank, who was the 1991 champion, and somebody off there, Andrew.
Yeah, Bert Maylander in the gravel in the Old Star car. And interesting, you saw the Audi come off the jacks. Audi have a different jacking system to all the others. They only have one ram at the front. It just saves a bit of weight, and they've gone the 3 ram route. Everyone else has 4.
Replay here of Mylander's moment. Brakes too late, loses the back. It starts to come round. He just about gathers it all up in time, but not quite. Slides off the circuit. Puts a couple of wheels into the gravel and rally crosses his way back onto the circuit. Mylander, as ever, trying hard in that year-old car, but it is just no match for this. The 2004 specification Mercedes. Jean Alesi at the wheel of the C-Class that's leading on the track, but he's going to fall down the order any moment because he's going to have to make a second pit stop, and he's making it this time. He dives across the circuit. Jean Alesi down the pit lane now. Gets to the white line, stands on everything, gets down to the regulation speed, and now makes his way towards the waiting mechanics. It's a very well-drilled team, of course. The AMG Mercedes mechanics are ready and waiting, and they'll be able to turn this car around in double quick time. What was it, about 4.9 seconds, I think, his earlier stop. Up it goes, fuel in, wheels on, drops down, 5.6 as the car gets moving again. So, Jean Alesi not going as well here as he did at Hockenheim, but as ever, Andrew, he's giving it 100% commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we've seen him as a winner in the DTM in the past. We go on board. There is Norbert Haug again. His eyes glued to the monitor. I don't think he gets many weekends off, David, if he's not at DTM races at the Formula One. And there we have a spinner, and it is Heinz Harald Frentzen in the Stern magazine back car. Spins it round, and meanwhile he comes back on the track with Stefan Mucker trying to get past him, and well, Heinz Harald doesn't like that. He's lost enough time with the spin. He's not going to let Mucker past, and then he starts to pull away from the year-old Mercedes-Benz of Stefan Mucker, and we can see what happened. Oh, just got in there too hot, too late on the brakes, and well, very lucky not to be hit, in fact, Heinz Harald Frentzen. And there we see him rotating again. So it's all a bit different from Formula One.
It was exciting. I got some experience again. I had a nice fight with Jean Alesi, but this time he got in front of me.
Different to Formula One, isn't it? Well, look at this, Christensen and Schneider fighting. Schneider in the Mercedes-Benz there, and Tom Christensen in the Hasselgröder car just in front of him. And oh dear! All got a bit hairy indeed.
Came to the second gear corner down there on corner 7, and I tried to shift down, and it wasn't possible. My throttle pedal stuck down, so it didn't come back. So I went straight to the gravel. The car pushed me into the gravel, and yeah, for sure that is disappointed.
So a podium possibility for Timo Schneider there is all over, but he's lucky not to be connected by Christensen and Schneider.
Spin there, that's Laurent Aiello. He was catching Marcel FÄSSLER, and he's had a big 360 spin, gets him back onto the circuit, losing places though as a consequence. So Laurent Aiello trying hard, but I'm afraid a bit too hard. Here's the replay. The back of the car comes round, stands on the brakes, realises that it's not going to work for him, and Laurent Aiello spins the Opel around. Both him and FÄSSLER, of course, new to the Opel team this year. Aiello moving from Audi, FÄSSLER moving from Mercedes. Laurent Aiello with the Playboy backed car there having a big moment, and the Opel team not thrilled about that, as you can rather tell.
So into the pits after that spin comes Marcel FÄSSLER, straight into the garage, and he is out of the race. Here's why.
The problem was actually, and after the third stop, I had it starts already a bit with the steering wheel. I was a bit not in the good shape, and then it was starting more and more, and I don't felt the car very good, so I stopped. And after we saw that the suspension was broken.
Well, the suspension broken. Meanwhile, let's just recap where we are in the closing stages. It is Christian Albers who continues to lead, continues to be harried by Matthias Ekstrom. Then we've got TOMCZYK who's moved up into the top three, then Christensen, then Schneider, and then SCHEIDER, Alesi, Reuter, Aiello, and Peter DUMBRECK, who's had a quiet race up into 10th. At Piro Frentzen, Muka, Bieler, Paffett, Winkelhock, Mailander, Bleekemolen, and FÄSSLER. And here's the surprise pit stop. Reuter in the pits. He must have a problem, Manuel Reuter. Well, we didn't expect that, David.
Yeah, Reuter haven't had the best of races here, and another pit stop is not going to help his chances, but this is significant on the track. Look at the way that Ekstrom now is catching Albers for the lead. Now, when we last looked at this gap, there was a fair old amount of track between the two of them. Over the last few laps, Matthias Ekstrom has got his head down and he is storming on. This is on board with Christian Albers. He's going to be spending more time looking in the mirror now than he is out of the front of the car, because Matthias Ekstrom is catching up onto the tail of the young Dutchman, going for his 5th ever DTM win. There's only another lap to run, and it is Mercedes ahead of Audi, but only just. Now, what can Ekstrom do? He's applying the pressure. He's looking for a way through as they turn through the left, then right-handed corners, uphill through that chicane, clipping the curb. Mercedes versus Audi, two of the young drivers as they head now up towards the line. It is just Christian Albers fending off Matthias Ekstrom, but he's under real pressure now. Accelerating up towards the end of the second round of DTM for 2004. Has Albers done enough? They sprint out of the last corner. The checkered flag is at the ready. Albers runs wide, but it's going to be a win for the Mercedes as they storm across the line. Christian Albers wins here at Estoril. Second is Matthias Ekstrom, and the gap at the flag is 0.652 of a second. Norbert Haug is a very happy man indeed. So too will be Christian Albers there inside the car. And boy, did he have to work hard for that right at the end. Mercedes then win both rounds of DTM so far. Gary Paffett, the winner of the first one, and winning round 2 is Christian Albers. Let's hear now from Norbert Haug.
It was a perfect day. I think Audi was slightly quicker with Matthias Ekstrom, but we had a very good strategy and we worked very good as a team and made quick pit stops, and Christian made a remarkable move at the end of the long straight and overtook Matthias, and that was it finally.
So confirmation of the results there. Albers, Ekstrom, TOMCZYK, the top 3. The best of the Opels, TIMO SCHEIDER coming home in 6th place.
It was not easy in the end because Timo was all the time on the 3rd position. He was able to run with the front runners together. The lap times weren't perfect. So, but yeah, in the end we were a little bit unlucky because his throttle cable was stuck for a short moment and he lost the line.
So Christian Albers now moves into the lead of the Drivers' Championship, 4 points clear of Matthias Ekstrom. Martin TOMCZYK has 10 points, so does Tom Christensen, and so too does Gary Paffett. They all tie for 3rd in the championship, and then TIMO SCHEIDER and BERND Schneider equal 6th at the moment. Peter DUMBRECK is 8th after the 2 rounds we've had so far. So Christian Albers victorious here. There he is, arriving in the pit lane, tired but happy. Steering wheel off, and the young Dutchman now set to clamber out of the car.
And he knows how to celebrate. Just look at that on the bonnet. The man who won the German Formula 3 Championship in 1999, moved into the DTM in 2001, and then was the runner-up last year. So he proves he is still very quick indeed. Let's hear now from the race winner.
I overtook 2 cars in 1 corner, and I think that was my success. And I just couldn't get into my. I could get in my rhythm and driving some good times in the beginning. But then the last set I put on the car, I got a lot of oversteer, and that's why Matthias Ekstrom was really close to me.
Well, despite the efforts of TIMO SCHEIDER, it is Audi 2nd and 3rd. Lots of congratulations all round. Ekstrom and TOMCZYK, they're embracing each other. They're happy with that.
After my second pit stop, I was fast again, and I were side by side with him. But he did not. He only left me some grass and gravel to drive on, and I could not pass him. And from then on, for 50% of the last stint we were more or less the same, and the last 50 I was faster, but he did a lot of mistakes, but only small ones, no big ones. I could not pass him.
I feel really great. Now that's my 4th season here. I started in Hockenheim with the 5th place, now the 3rd place. If you see my bad luck the last 3 years in the races, so I'm really happy and I'm really looking forward through the season.
Yeah, so he will climb onto that podium for the first time in his career. But meanwhile, look at Christian Albers. He does a Michael Schumacher style leap into the air, and a end to a terrific battle for DTM honours here at Estoril in Portugal. It's been a tremendous race, and all that's left is for Peter Dumbreck to bid us goodbye.
Bye-bye from Estoril. See you in Adria.
Yeah, thanks very much, Peter. Let's just finish off with some of the highlights. And from me, Andrew Marriott, for David Addison, it's goodbye until the next race of the DTM, the German Touring Car Masters. Great action from lap 1 to the checkered flag.